The invitation arrived on a Tuesday morning, folded too neatly to be accidental, like it knew it carried trouble. Daniel Carter stared at the cream-colored envelope for a long time before opening it. His name was written in a familiar looping script he hadn't seen in years. For a second, his chest tightened, not with anger, not even sadness, but something quieter, something unfinished. His ex-wife, Melissa, was getting married. Again. "Daddy, is that mail for us?" came a small voice from the living room. Daniel blinked, quickly masking whatever was on his face. "Yeah, buddy, just bills." 8-year-old Noah peeked around the corner anyway, suspicious as always. "Bills don't make you look like that." Daniel forced a smile. "Like what?" "Like you swallowed a bug." That earned a genuine laugh. "Go finish your homework." Noah disappeared, but not before glancing once more at the envelope in Daniel's hand. Daniel finally opened it. Inside was a wedding invitation, elegant, expensive, everything Melissa loved. Gold lettering, fancy venue, a handwritten note tucked inside. "I know this might be strange, but I'd really like you to come. It would mean a lot, for closure, for Noah. You can bring someone, Melissa. Bring someone." Daniel let out a dry breath. That was rich, because the truth was, Daniel Carter didn't have someone. Not anymore. 3 years earlier, Melissa had walked out of their marriage chasing a life she said Daniel could never give her. More money, more excitement, more possibilities. She left behind not just a husband, but a quiet, stable home, and their 6-year-old son. Since then, it had just been the two of them. Late-night homework, burnt pancakes on Sundays, tight budgets and tighter hugs. And now she wanted him to show up at her wedding. With a date. "Yeah," Daniel muttered to himself. "That's not happening." 2 days later, Daniel was standing outside a small grocery store, digging through his wallet for change. Life had been harder lately. Work hours cut, bills stacking, but he managed. He always managed. As he stepped out of the store, he noticed her. She sat on the curb near the parking lot, wrapped in an oversized, worn-out coat despite the mild weather. Her hair was messy, her face pale, but her eyes were alert. Watching, thinking, not begging. That's what stood out to him. Most people passed her by without a glance. One man even muttered something under his breath. Daniel slowed. Something about her didn't match the situation. "Hey," he said, cautiously. She looked up, immediately guarded. "I'm not asking for anything. I didn't say you were." A pause. Daniel scratched the back of his neck. "Do you need food?" Her eyes flickered. Pride wrestled with hunger right there on her face. "I won't say no." He handed her the bag, sandwich, fruit, a bottle of water. "Thank you," she said quietly. He nodded, about to leave, but something stopped him. "What's your name?" She hesitated. "Lena." Daniel. Another silence, less tense this time. "You don't look like someone who belongs out here," Daniel said gently. Lena let out a soft, humorless laugh. "Nobody belongs out here." Fair point. Still, he lingered. "I know this is weird," he said, the idea forming as he spoke, "but I have something I need help with." She raised an eyebrow. "That sounds like the start of a bad decision." "Probably," he admitted, "but hear me out." An hour later, they were sitting on a park bench, and Daniel was explaining everything. The wedding, the invitation, the bring someone. Lena listened without interrupting, her expression unreadable. "You want me," she finally said, "a homeless stranger, to pretend to be your date, at your ex-wife's wedding. When you say it like that, it sounds insane." "It is insane." Daniel sighed. "Look, I don't want to go alone. Not in front of her. Not in front of everyone who thought I wasn't enough." Lena studied him. "You're doing this for pride." "Maybe," he admitted, "but also for my son. I don't want him to see me, small." That hit something. Lena looked away, thinking. "What's in it for me?" she asked. Daniel had expected that, a place to stay for a few days. Food, clothes, no strings attached. Her eyes narrowed slightly. "You expect me to believe there are no strings. I'm a single dad," he said simply. "I don't have time for games." That seemed to land. Lena leaned back, staring at the sky. "You're either a good man," she said slowly, "or a very stupid one." "Probably both." A long pause. Then she nodded. "All right, I'll do it." The next few days were strange. Lena stayed in the small spare room, technically Noah's old nursery. She was quiet, respectful, almost invisible at times. But little things started to show. The way she neatly folded laundry without being asked. How she fixed a loose cabinet hinge with surprising skill. The way she spoke to Noah, like he mattered. Are you a teacher? Noah asked her one evening. Lena froze for just a second. Why do you think that? Because you explain things like my favorite teacher. She smiled faintly. No, I'm not a teacher. But Daniel noticed the way her eyes softened. He also noticed she never talked about her past. Not once. The day of the wedding arrived. Daniel barely recognized Lena when she stepped out of the room. She wore a simple but elegant dress he'd bought, nothing flashy, but it fit her perfectly. Her hair was clean, styled loosely. Her face still carried traces of hardship, but now there was something else too. Strength, confidence. Wow, Daniel said before he could stop himself. Lena smirked slightly. Try not to look so shocked. It ruins the effect. Noah ran up. You look like a princess. That earned a real laugh. Thank you, she said, crouching to his level. That's the nicest thing anyone said to me in a long time. Daniel swallowed something in his throat. Ready? He asked. Lena stood, smoothing her dress. Let's go steal a wedding. The venue was exactly what Daniel expected, grand, polished, intimidating. As they walked in together, heads turned. At first, Daniel thought it was just in his head. Then he heard the whispers. Who is she? She's stunning. That's his date. Even he was starting to feel it. Lena didn't flinch. If anything, she walked with quiet authority, her hand resting lightly on his arm. Relax, she murmured. You're supposed to look like you belong here. I don't, he whispered back. Then pretend better. He almost smiled. And then, Melissa saw them. For a split second, her expression cracked. Shock, then confusion, then something else, something sharp. Daniel, she said, approaching. You came. I said I would. Her eyes shifted to Lena. And, you brought someone. Lena extended her hand gracefully. Lena, it's lovely to meet you. Melissa hesitated before shaking it. You too, she said, though her tone suggested otherwise. There was an unspoken tension in the air. But Lena didn't compete. She didn't need to. She simply was. And somehow, that was enough. As the evening went on, something unexpected happened. People gravitated toward Lena, not just because of how she looked, but because of how she made them feel. She listened, really listened. She spoke with quiet intelligence, with humor, with warmth. Even the groom's parents seemed charmed. Daniel watched it all, stunned. Where did you learn to do that? He asked her at one point. Do what? Be this. She took a sip of water, eyes distant. I wasn't always who you met on that curb. He didn't push, but he understood now. There was a story there, a big one. Then came the moment no one expected. During the reception, someone handed Lena a microphone. Say something, a guest urged. Daniel stiffened. This wasn't part of the plan. Lena hesitated. For a second, it looked like she might refuse. But then, she stood, took the mic, and the room quieted. I wasn't planning to speak tonight, she began, her voice calm but clear. But, I think sometimes the most unexpected moments are the ones that matter most. She glanced at Daniel, then at Noah, then, briefly, at Melissa. I met Daniel by accident, she continued. At a time when I had nothing. No home, no direction, no one. A ripple moved through the crowd. And he didn't ask for my story. He didn't judge me, he just helped. Daniel felt his chest tighten. He reminded me that kindness doesn't require permission. That dignity isn't something you lose, it's something others forget to see. Silence. Deep, heavy silence. And tonight, she said softly, I'm standing here not because I belong in a room like this, but because someone believed I did. Her voice trembled slightly, but she didn't break. So if there's one thing I hope you all take from this night, it's this: don't underestimate the power of a single act of kindness. It can change a life. She handed the microphone back. And for a moment, no one moved. Then, slowly, applause. Rising, building, until the entire room was on its feet. Daniel blinked rapidly, trying to steady himself. Because somehow, she hadn't just stolen the show. She'd changed it. Later that night, as they stepped outside, the noise of the reception fading behind them, Daniel turned to her. That was incredible. Lena shrugged lightly, though her eyes glistened. I just told the truth. He nodded. There was a pause. So, he said, what now? Lena looked out at the dark sky. For the first time in a long time, she said slowly, I think I get to choose. Daniel didn't respond right away. Then, well, he said, whatever you choose, you don't have to do it alone. She looked at him, really looked at him, and for the first time, she smiled without sadness behind it. Sometimes, life doesn't change with grand gestures. Sometimes, it shifts quietly, on a Tuesday morning, or outside a grocery store, or in the middle of a wedding you never wanted to attend. A single decision, a moment of kindness, a stranger who becomes something more. Daniel went to that wedding to prove he wasn't broken. But he left with something far greater. A reminder that even in life's hardest chapters, hope has a way of finding you. Often in the most unexpected person. And sometimes, that person ends up stealing more than just the show. They steal your heart, and give you a reason to believe again.